On a server farm in Maryland, behind 3 layers of biometric security, there is a hard drive filled with encrypted data. It contains banking transactions, medical records, government cables, private messages. Right now, every single file on that drive is mathematically impossible to read, protected by encryption that would take a conventional supercomputer longer than the age of the universe to crack. But that hard drive is not there to be read today. It is there to be read tomorrow. Because tomorrow, a machine will exist that can break every encryption key on Earth in under 8 hours. And that machine already has a name. It's called a cryptographically irrelevant quantum computer. And according to the people building it, it's about 5 years away. Here is a number that should terrify you, 2048. That is the bit length of RSA encryption, the mathematical lock that protects everything from your credit card number to nuclear launch codes. RSA 2048 works because factoring a 617-digit number into its 2 prime components is, for classical computers, a problem that scales exponentially. Doubling the key size doesn't double the cracking time. It squares it. A 2048-bit RSA key, on a classical supercomputer running 24/7, would take approximately 300 trillion years to factor. The universe is 13.8 billion years old. You see the problem. Or rather, you saw the problem because in 1994, a mathematician named Peter Shea stood up at Bell Labs and proved that a quantum computer, if one could ever be built, could factor that same number in polynomial time. Not exponential. Polynomial. What takes a classical computer 300 trillion years would take a sufficiently powerful quantum computer about 8 hours. The math community gasped. Then they quietly went back to work and hoped nobody would actually build one of these things. They are building them now. Let me explain what a quantum computer actually does, because the pop science version is misleading. A quantum computer is not a faster classical computer. It does not do the same math, just quicker. It operates on an entirely different principle of computation. Where a classical bit is either a 0 or a 1, a quantum bit, a qubit, can be 0, 1, or a superposition of both simultaneously. This is not a metaphor. This is a physically measurable property of subatomic particles. And it means that a quantum computer with n qubits can, in a very specific sense, explore 2 to the power of n states in parallel. For certain problems. And Shea's algorithm happens to be one of them. This is a computational superpower with no classical equivalent. Google's Willow chip, announced in December 2024, demonstrated 105 qubits with error rates below a critical threshold, the threshold where adding more qubits makes the system more reliable, not less. IBM's Condor chip runs 1,121 qubits. The Chinese Academy of Sciences has a 176-qubit processor called Zhukongji 3.0. None of these machines can break RSA 2048 yet. To run Shea's algorithm against a 2048-bit key, you need approximately 4,000 logical qubits, not the noisy physical qubits in today's chips, but error-corrected logical qubits that require thousands of physical qubits each. The rough consensus among quantum physicists, summarized in a 2023 National Academies report, is that a cryptographically relevant quantum computer will require somewhere between 10 and 20 million physical qubits. That sounds impossibly far away, until you look at the curve. In 2019, Google's Sycamore had 53 qubits. In 2022, IBM's Osprey had 433. In 2024, Condor has 1,121. That is a 21x increase in 5 years. If qubit counts double every 18 months, a Moore's law for quantum that multiple labs have publicly stated they are targeting, you reach 10 million physical qubits not in decades, but sometime between 2030 and 2035. The most aggressive estimates, from researchers at the University of Sussex and the quantum startup PsiQuantum, place a fault-tolerant million-qubit machine at around 2029. And here is the part that keeps intelligence agencies awake at night. You do not need to wait for the machine to exist before you start stealing the data it will eventually decrypt. The attack strategy has a name. It is called Harvest Now, Decrypt Later. And according to a 2022 report from the US Government Accountability Office, it is already happening. Adversary states the GAO names China, Russia, and Iran explicitly are intercepting and storing massive volumes of encrypted traffic, diplomatic communications, military logistics, financial transactions, intellectual property. They cannot read it today. But they are betting that within a decade, they will be able to. A 2023 analysis by the Rand Corporation estimated that the shelf life of a state secret today, the period during which it must remain confidential to retain operational value, is approximately 25 years for nuclear weapons design and 10 to 15 years for most intelligence-gathering methods. Cryptographic keys. Protecting that data will not survive the quantum transition. Here is what that means for you, specifically. Every WhatsApp message you have ever sent is encrypted with a protocol that relies on elliptic curve cryptography, a variant of the same mathematical problem that quantum computers break. Every HTTPS connection your browser has ever made, every online purchase, every telehealth appointment with your doctor, every password you typed into a login form, all of it was protected by encryption that lives on borrowed time. When the quantum break happens, it will not be forward-looking. It will be retroactive. Every encrypted byte ever intercepted and stored will be decryptable, in bulk, by whoever gets there first. The financial system is particularly vulnerable. The SWIFT network, which processes approximately 42 million cross-border payment messages per day representing over $5 trillion, relies on public key cryptography for authentication. Central bank digital currencies, the digital euro, the digital yuan, the FedNow system all depend on cryptographic protocols that Schiess algorithm renders obsolete. A 2024 survey by the Bank for International Settlements found that 65% of central banks had no active post-quantum migration plan. The remaining 35% were studying the issue. Here is the counterintuitive part that nobody discusses. The race to build a cryptographically irrelevant quantum computer is not happening in the open. It is happening in classified government laboratories, funded by military budgets, with no publication requirements and no peer review. In 2023, the Chinese military journal National Defense Science and Technology described quantum cryptanalysis as a strategic priority equivalent to nuclear weapons development in the 1940s. The United States has funded quantum research through the National Quantum Initiative Act at roughly $3.7 billion over 5 years. China's official budget is not disclosed, but independent estimates from the Center for Strategic and International Studies place it between $15 and $25 billion over the same period. This is not a scientific competition. It is an arms race. There is a second counterintuitive layer. The post-quantum cryptography migration, the effort to replace all vulnerable algorithms with quantum-resistant ones, is a problem of deployment, not of mathematics. NIST, the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology, finalized its first post-quantum cryptographic standards in August 2024 after an 8-year competition. The math works. The algorithms exist. But the deployment of those algorithms across the global infrastructure, every web server, every router, every embedded IoT device, every banking backend, every military communication system is a logistical challenge that makes Y2K look like a software update. Y2K had a hard deadline and a known scope. The quantum transition has an unknown deadline, and the scope is, literally, every device with a processor. The physicist Michel Mosca, co-founder of the University of Waterloo's Institute for Quantum Computing, formulated what is now known as Mosca's inequality. Let X be the number of years your data must remain secure. Let Y be the number of years until a quantum computer capable of breaking your encryption exists. Let Z be the number of years needed to migrate your entire infrastructure to quantum-resistant protocols. If X plus Y is greater than Z, you are already too late. For most governments, Mosca's inequality is not a thought experiment. It is a crisis briefing. Here is where I stand on this. The quantum threat to encryption is not a science fiction scenario. It is a scheduled event with an uncertain date. Every intelligence agency on Earth knows this. Every major bank knows this. The people who build your operating systems, your messaging apps, your payment networks, they all know. The question is not whether the cryptography that protects your life will need to be replaced. It will. The question is whether it will be replaced before the machine that breaks it comes online, or after. And after means something very specific. It means that every secret you have ever trusted to the internet, every medical diagnosis, every financial transaction, every private conversation, becomes retroactively readable by whoever possesses that machine first. If you think privacy is a luxury, wait until it is literally impossible. Next week on Future Frame, we go from the impossible to the invisible. A material that scientists have been chasing for over a century, something that could levitate trains, make energy lossless, and fundamentally rewrite the laws of electrical engineering. It was finally created in a lab in 2023. And the breakthrough came from a place nobody expected.